Hey, this is John Williams coming to you from my home office in Henderson, Nevada. I am so glad that you are all tuning into this very special Zoom call today. This is Saturday morning, and normally we have a training call on Saturday morning, but today is very special because I have some people lined up to share their incredible product stories with you. And I can tell I'm looking at all of them, and they're very excited about doing that. What we want to do today is really share what these products are doing for people all over North America and beyond. So I'm going to get right to it. And what I want to know right now, who wants to go first? Who out there wants to go first? Just raise your hand. Hey. Okay, Charlotte, hold on a second.
Wow, it worked.
It does. All right, Charlotte, you are the first. You're so brave. Have so much courage. Let's hear what the products are doing for you.
Well, one of the things that I thought that I've always been really impressed with was how smart animals are. So I'm going to tell my animal story because it would be really great if people were as open as our animals are. So what happened was I have the eye water. I've been drinking the eye water, and of course I was giving it to my dogs. My son came to visit with his two dogs. And so they got used to the eye water, and everything was fine. Well, one day, my son filled up their water bowl with just regular filtered water. And I watched. And they'd walk up to the bowl, and then they'd just walk away. They wouldn't drink. So I said something to my son. I'm like, they're not going to drink that water because it's not eye water. And he's like, that's crazy. But watch this. And I picked up their bowl, and I put down a bowl of eye water. And they both just ran in and drank because they were so thirsty. So that's my story. Dogs are pretty smart. They know that the eye water works.
Well, dogs are pretty smart, and I think I saw a cat story today that I think we might hear about today on Facebook. So what do you think the eye water is doing for your dog?
Well, they're both old. And I know that it's given, especially Bud, who's the oldest one, he's a little Yorkie, it's given him a lot more energy, where when he first came with my son to visit, he was really lethargic and he slept all the time, and he's kind of deaf and he's going blind in one eye and he's already lost the other eye. So he was old and kind of cranky. But now what I've noticed is that he's a lot perkier. He jumps over the little step from the kitchen or living room to the dining room with a lot more vim and vigor. And Bella, the little fat chihuahua, has actually lost some weight, which was really good. So they're thriving quite a bit better than when they first got here.
Well, next time we do this call, we'd love to see you holding your dog. That would be fun. Quite good. Okay, well, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yay.
Okay. Who's next? Okay, Dorje, coming to you. All right, Dorje, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I want to tell a story about when I first encountered the GIA products. It was about 4.5 years ago. And at that time, I'd been going through something. I had been going through 2 years where I couldn't focus. I couldn't get anything done. And I had like 24/7 anxiety. I couldn't sleep at all. And I knew it had been going on for about 2 years, but I had no idea what caused it. And even though I'm a healer and I'm pretty good at figuring these things out, I couldn't figure it out for myself. And so 2 things happened about the same time. One was that I encountered GIA Wellness, and the other was that in my looking for just some information about electromagnetic pollution and what that does to people, because I was really pretty ignorant about it, I watched a video and I went, oh my God, I've got all of these symptoms. And so I had this big aha moment. It's like, oh, maybe it's from this. So when I got my GIA products, I put the universal guards on several different things, including our cordless phone, which we had gotten exactly 2 years before that. And I think I started with just the cordless phone. That night I actually slept. My anxiety just went down to, minimal levels. And I started to get some focus back. And, when I say I had anxiety, I mean, it was so bad that I thought, I don't even know if I can continue living in this skin if this is the way life is going to be from here on in. And that anxiety completely left. So that was kind of my first experience with these products. And then since then I got pendants and universal guards, and it just kept bringing that whole level of anxiety down. And I've slept for the last 4.5 years. And so that's my story.
That, I was going to say that's amazing, and you'll probably hear me say that a lot today, because every time I hear a story, it is amazing that something like that could change for you, and it means so much to get sleep, doesn't it?
Oh, you don't realize that until you don't.
And who would have guessed it was a lot to do with your cordless phone?
It never occurred to me, ever,
That is good. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, who's next? Now let's go to Donald. Hang on, Donald.
Ready.
Okay, Donald, you got it.
Well, the thing that I've experienced for years, there was two things. And one was every time I would attempt to think of something else that I'd like to do in my life, there was these negative thoughts that would come in and said I couldn't do it, or I wasn't worth it, or something like that. And the other thing is
Figured it out.
Ever since I realized that there was also times when things would happen around the house, and I would just get all bent out of shape. I just wasn't very, very calm. And my wife was noticing it more than anything else. And I couldn't control it. I mean, I kept using herbs and oils and all sorts of stuff. I was using hundreds of dollars worth of products. And as long as I kept on a very strict regimen, I was a little bit better. But it kept being there. It was very, very frustrating and very difficult because I didn't want to be that way. I just didn't have any control. So I'd always known that the cell phone was a problem, and I, had my thing on the cell phone, and I thought that was fine because I'm healthy, or relatively, I figured. And so that the radiation problems was for other people, wasn't for me. And I was talking with John, and John suggested that I put the pendant on, and I said, well, I want to save it because I wanted to sell it to somebody. And I knew that after I put it on, it was going to be mine. So he said, put it on. So I did that, and within about an hour, there was a problem that came up with the computer, with the printer, and I said, oh, well, I can fix this. And I went, I started working on the printer, and I looked at my wife and says, that's not normally the way I've been acting, is it? And I began to realize it came to me that this was a real big deal. And so then I began to protect all the little items in my home, TV, things I began to take care of, and drank the water and all sorts of stuff like that. And I was about 2 weeks later, I noticed I was walking my dog Hannah, and I wasn't having these negative thoughts anymore. I was fine. And after that, I began to expand myself and what I could do in my business and everything. And my whole life is just generated from that point. So it's been really, really great for me, and I've really appreciated doing all these things.
Donald, I appreciate you sharing that story, and I just have this feeling that not only could you feel it and feel what's happening, but I think other people probably are seeing a difference in you, and you've connected the dots, and now you're helping other people connect the dots, aren't you?
Yes, it's a big deal for me, and it's a lot of education because not everybody understands this. I have a business networking group I'm part of, and I was the massage therapist there. And I had people knew what I was doing and stuff like that. And I jumped. I found somebody else to take my position. And I started doing this because I think it's so important for people to understand about this. I changed my whole identity of what I'm representing and what I'm doing in my business and focusing now on GIA.
Well, we're glad you did that. And I know you're helping a lot of people to connect the dots also. Thanks for being on today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All righty. Who's next on our fabulous panel here? Dave Stapp. Okay, Dave. We'll get you up here. Okay, Dave, we've got you.
Hey, John. Morning.
Morning.
You know, I'm flabbergasted by the stories like yourself. I always am. I'm flabbergasted that we can say that our technology helps Donald become a computer technician. I love that. I've got some work on my computers I need done, Donald. Maybe I'll ship them to you. And looking at Charlotte, how far she's come with her health, she looks and sounds amazing. So the story I wanted to share, John, is closest to my heart. As you know, having owned and operated an energetic wellness center, we have tons of stories. But the one that I enjoy telling the most is about my dad. He had this condition on his legs that was incredibly painfully itchy. Scaly skins. My mom affectionately called him lizard legs. Affectionately, I gotta say. But every time we'd go to visit him, his legs looked horrible and they felt horrible. So we got him an eye water device. And, you know, before the eye water device, he had put all these Western medicine creams. He was doing topicals. He was taking medicine for it, and nothing was helping. He was in misery. Got him an eye water device, and don't make any claims, and things, you know, maybe don't happen this quickly. But I've got to tell you, in 6 weeks, we got it for him very beginning of October. We went to see him for Thanksgiving. That was 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, his legs had cleared up. They looked like the condition wasn't even there. Lived down in Palm Desert, so he was able to spray. He was in shorts all the time, so he was able to spray his legs, and he drank the water. So I got to tell you, in 6 weeks, he was a new man with new legs. And for me, when you're able to help a family member like that who's in pain and struggling, that there's nothing better than that, John.
And so how much did he appreciate you for that?
Well, you know, he's kind of always thought, since I got into the energetic world, he thought I was a witch doctor and things like that, and he was kind of standoffish about the products and the technology, because I'd work on him, and he'd call me up on the phone and say, Dave, what are you doing to me? I'm feeling something going on. But I got to tell you, the other thing that he did do the last 2 years of his life, he would not get out of bed without wearing his pendant, because of the balance and how it made him feel. So, yeah, he appreciated me.
You know, I just wanted to bring that up because I feel like there's nothing better than a family member getting results with our products and being able to express that and help other people to see that. So, Dave, appreciate you for sharing that. And for those of you who might be listening to this, Dave is outside his house. There's a beautiful tree in the background, and he's got a great shirt on that says GIA Wellness. Nice shirt, Dave.
Thank you, John.
That's good. We got it. Hey, Dave, thanks for tuning in. I know you're a busy guy. Appreciate it.
I'll get back to work. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good ones, guys. You're doing a great job. Who's next? Hi, Rochelle. See. Okay. I'm waiting. Tracy, you ready? Let's go with Tracy here.
I'm ready.
All right. Hey, Tracy, Utopia, Texas. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this product presentation. I'm very excited. When I was first introduced to GIA, I was a stressed out mess. My husband and I have 5 businesses and just trying to make ends meet, keep all the plates spinning. I was just known as a professional plate spinner, and but what that meant was basically never having any time for the most important thing in my life, which is my family. And it just seemed that no matter how hard we tried to get free, we were just tied down more than ever. And the stress level was so intense. I was burning the candle at both ends, and the bottom line is I didn't see any way of it's going to change because they were our businesses and we were responsible for them. And my brother-in-law walked into my office one day, and I was having a particularly stressful day, and he said, "What's going on?" And so I just told him my frustration, and that's when he introduced me to GIA Wellness and asked me if I knew anything about electromagnetic radiation, and I couldn't even say it actually, but he said I could be affected by that. And I said, well, I'm doing everything right. I'm drinking lots of water and I'm taking my vitamins, I'm working out, but I'm exhausted. I cannot sleep. I had allergies in the spring and in the fall. I just couldn't seem to overcome that. My skin was dry. I was broken out. I was just frustrated. And so he encouraged me to try the GIA products, and so I did. And within just a couple of weeks, I was so excited because my energy returned and it became just a sustained energy throughout the day. And I was sleeping better and my skin started clearing up and looking better. And it was the first winter that I went through that I did not have dry skin. And so the other thing is it's the first time I've ever been able to get Dwayne to take any form of vitamins. And so when he started taking the iThrive and the cleanse, he just felt so much better that even if he forgot to take it in the morning, he would come back mid-morning to take it because it changed his energy level so dramatically and his stress level that he can't go without it. So I can't run out of those products, and we just love all the GIA products, honestly. They've changed our life.
Well, Tracy, I know you have about 5 or 6 businesses, so energy is really important to you. And I know one of our favorite products, you and I, is Edge. Can you talk a little bit about Edge?
I love Edge. It is my favorite, one of my favorite products next to the eye water, for sure. I ran out of it for 1 week. I didn't have Edge, and I noticed a difference in my stress level. What Edge does basically is it assists your body's natural recovery from stress, muscle fatigue. If I start a new workout, I always make sure I take Edge because it helps with your muscle repair. And it just has a patented formula of, it's called Texo-E, which is like prickly pear, and it's got vitamin B, and it's just a patented formula that only GIA has. So I'm excited. I love Edge.
Yeah, you know, for me, it helps with my attitude. I don't know about you, but it seems like as long as I have Edge, my attitude is much better. Well, hey, thank you for sharing. So glad to see you on here. I appreciate you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All righty, good job. Okay, Doc White, coming to you.
Good morning again. I'm like most people, I've got several dozen stories you could tell, but I'm going to confine it today to the recent ATM. And I had, in the process of getting to the airport, I had left my pendant at home. And I realized, okay, I'm stuck, no pendant. And I didn't realize, but
Hang on a minute, Doc. There's some noise in the background for some reason. I don't see anybody unmuted. Okay.
I don't know, it may be my computer.
It's not us.
But anyway, so I realized, man, I'm getting fairly irritable here behind the scenes. I asked Sue, she was there, and a few others. They didn't notice it later, but I did. And so when I got back home and put on the pendant, there was an amazing difference in just the day-to-day, the minute-by-minute activities and how I felt about it. So I'm a pendant man for sure. Got one right here.
Yeah, we see your pendant right there. So, Doc, if you had to say maybe 3 things the pendant does for you, what would it be? For those who don't have one, what do you feel?
Apparently, I just feel more peace and more just patience, I think. Those are a couple of things, you know, where you're just a little bit less judgmental, perhaps. That I have a tendency to be that way, you know, being in the health field forever, you're always looking for what's wrong. And
right.
But that's made a big difference in me, that pendant.
Oh,
So, Anita, do you like him better with the pendant on or without it on?
Oh, much better. I told him, as soon as he got home, get your pendant, put it on. And if he,
Okay, good.
I see the other morning.
I had a feeling I knew the answer, but I wanted to hear from you. Yes. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate you. Okay, who's next? All right, going to go up to Karen up here.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We got you, Karen. Hi, Abby.
Good morning. Well, like everyone, I have a lot of testimonials and amazing results with the GIA products, but this one involves my husband, so it's one that's near and dear to my heart. And my husband is not a sedentary person at all. We have multiple businesses and he's always running. But he had gotten really sick a couple years ago and he was seeing his doctor, and it had been like a month of him he'd come home, he'd lay on the couch, he just couldn't get through a day. He was on multiple rounds of antibiotics and he just wasn't getting any better. And we have several annual family vacations that we take, and one was coming up, and I thought, well, we're certainly not going to be able to make that. But I think his verbiage was something like, I can be as miserable there as I am here. So we decided to go on this vacation, and we left on a Thursday. And while we were driving there, his doctor called and she said, I know why Gary's not getting any better. He has a very specific infection. And she said, so he needs to come in right now because now we can target that antibiotic that he needs. And I said, well, he's not going to come in today because we're headed out of town, but he can be in Monday. But I have my eye water with me. And I had shared with my doctor about the eye water and its potential to really just bring the body back into a place of balance. So right then I started giving him the eye water because I don't travel without it. And that was on a Thursday. And by Saturday morning, Gary was better than he had been in 3 weeks. And he recognized it. And even though I'd had the water for years sitting on my counter, he would just drink it occasionally. And since that day, he has drank it every single day of his life and doesn't need me to tell him to drink his eye water. So I don't want to be the wife that says, I told you so. But anyway, I don't have to tell him that now. He firmly believes that the eye water helps both of us just keep our vitality and our energy and stay well.
Okay, tell us the truth. Did you say I told you so?
Well, you know I did.
I know you did. Oh, that's so great. And I know that you've helped so many people, not only with the eye water, but with being introduced to our products. And I know Abby's sitting next to you today. And hi, Abby, how are you?
Hi.
Abby, do you have any stories about what the products have done?
I do have a story. Recently, my friend ordered the eye water system, and she started drinking the eye thrive also with the eye water, and she happens to have diabetes. I called her within a week after her starting everything, or maybe a few days afterwards, and her story was that her numbers went down. She's never seen these numbers in her life, period. So they're still high, but she's never seen these numbers. So it was a real nice, that was her experience. So I wanted to share that with everybody too. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, it's pretty amazing to be able to see both of you together. I love this today, and it's good to see your smiling face. Thanks for sharing with us today. Appreciate it.
Got it. Thank you.
You bet. Who is next? Oh, Anita coming back. All right, let's go back to Tennessee. Hang on, Anita. Let me get you up here. Okay. All right, speak a little loud.
Okay.
There we go.
Several years ago, I was stung by a wasp, and I was blind for a week from it, and it was just really bad that every time I was just around a wasp or anything, I would run, get away from it. And so they had told me that, I had to use the EpiPen or whatever, or get to the hospital as soon as possible because I almost died from it. Well, I was helping my son and my grandson mow a lawn around the corner from us, and one of them hit a whole patch of hornets, and one stung me on my hand, and immediately it swelled, big as a sausage. So I told the boys real calm, I said, I've got to go home right now. You stay here and just stay away from the walls. I'll be right back. So I come on home, and by the time I was driving in the driveway, I was just could barely get out. So I got the eye water immediately because that's what first thing I thought of. And I just immersed my hand in the eye water and kept it there. And just kept it there. And I could tell it starting to go down in my system and starting to calm down. And within an hour, Doc came over to me and he said, well, how's your hand doing? And I picked it out of the water and looked at it, and it wasn't even swollen. I could hardly find where it stung me. So I'm very thankful for the eye water. And my cat loves it, by the way.
A cat story. I knew that was coming.
Yes.
Well, I would say this to you: when you see that happen, run anyway, even though you have eye water. But it's always good to know. I mean, I'm going to take a real quick survey. How many of you, when something like that happens to you, the first thing you think about is eye water? Raise your hand. Exactly. That's amazing. Yes. Good one. Thanks, Anita. Appreciate that. Who else? Here's Kim. Hold on, Kim. Let me bring you up.
Well, hello, and thank you. Thanks for hosting. I'm good today. I'm good. I have kind of an interesting story that I just like to share. And in 2005, I spend a lot of my time out camping and hanging out on my horse in the woods, and that's kind of my favorite place to be if it's nice out. And I was fortunate enough to get bit by one of those pesky little things called a tick. And I did not know that I had been bit by the tick. And several months later, during hunting season, I was so sick one day that I couldn't get out of bed and go hunting. And at that point, I knew something was going on, that I was sick. And so a couple of months went by, and I was going to doctors and trying to get diagnosed, and nothing, and lots of money going out. And I was really, really, really getting sick. And finally, I went to a doctor that diagnosed me, and I had one of those tick-borne illnesses. And I went through a whole huge antibiotic treatment for almost 2 years. And after that time, I was still really sick and really struggling. And so I just thought, I need to be able to learn how to manage my symptoms and live, because I didn't see any way out of it. And then Sue Gromberg introduced me to the eye water, and my first reaction was like, no, I already spent $3,500 on a water system. I don't need another one. So a couple more years went by, and I got bit by another tick. And this bite was a little different than the first one. I actually was life flighted and barely survived that. And so this whole time, Sue Gromberg is telling me, you need one of these water systems. And as stubborn as I am, I said, no, for another 2 years, until finally I went to a home meeting, and I met Jennifer Hawks and Babs Melka, and they introduced me to the whole GIA product line and the story about where eye water was discovered. And I thought, you know what? I need one of those eye water systems for my dog. So I bought an eye water system for my dog, and lo and behold, 5 days after starting on the eye water, I got out of bed for the first time in over 10 years with energy and feeling good and feeling like I had actually slept that night and like I had energy. And over the course of the next 3 to 4 months, all of the symptoms that I had been dealing with, the low energy, the lack of sleep, the sore joints, I had a rash over 80% of my body, and I had vision problems, I had memory problems. All of that started to slowly fade away. And within 6 months of starting on the eye water, the eye thrive, and protecting myself from EMF, I felt better than I had felt in 15 years.
Wait a minute. How long did it take you to finally get the eye water system?
4 years of being really stubborn.
So how passionate are you about helping people to connect the dots a lot faster?
Well, slowly I'm going to be moving into doing this full time as soon as I can find somebody to replace me in my other job. I think that this is one of the biggest things that I've found in my lifetime, and it's completely given me back my life. It's allowed me to go and do things I love to do, and I still hang out in the woods outside, and I still come home with ticks on me, but I'm not afraid to live now. So this is something that I'll never stop sharing.
Wow, we're so glad that you joined us and shared that story today. I really appreciate you for that. Thanks, Kim. Okay, we've got time for one more. Who has a burning desire? Ted, you with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We got you. How are you?
Oh, okay, good. I'm great. Real good. Getting hotter by the minute. So, yeah, I thank you for including me, even though you can't see me. Can I tell my original story?
Yeah.
Okay, so a while ago, I've been in the field of health, natural health, and also had a 5-year slice of working in compounding pharmacy and, bridging the medical gap and all that. But as a practitioner and also originally having natural food markets and nutrition centers, all before computers, I became a very sought after go-to walking dictionary kind of person. And I say that because when all this came raining down on me, when I say this, meaning what became electrosensitivity, I had zero knowledge. With everything that I knew and accumulated over my lifetime and dedicated myself to learning, I had zero knowledge about it. And I had not only all the classic, typical hypersensitivity symptoms, but I had probably 3 times the amount that they list when you see a list. So it was, and not only that, but sometimes when you're working on things that you might call symptoms, sometimes they tend to either go away or be relieved, even temporarily. But these compounded. They kept adding and adding. It was a giant pile after about 2 years. None of the symptoms that came ever went away. So it wasn't as though I could sort of juggle the symptoms. No, they were all there all the time. So heavily for me, it was a lot of physical pain, neurological things. I couldn't read. I couldn't add numbers. Now, we're talking about trying to run your life, your business, so it was pretty devastating on all levels until I met someone who recognized what I was going through and introduced me to our technology. And I'm telling you, I had such a powerful, what we call product experience or technology experience, that literally using just one, well, I used more, but initially she asked me to put a cell guard on my flip phone at the time, and every single symptom that I was experiencing literally disappeared in that second, which, believe me, I could not understand initially. It took me a long time to sort of figure out what that experience was about. However, everything from hormone disruption to, like I said, the neurological things, not sleeping, not being able to stay awake when I'm supposed to be awake, all kinds of different, even learning, even focusing, retaining, memory, hair falling out, aging rapidly, all of these things that you will read on long lists of symptoms, all of those things relieved. And then, of course, I added more of the technology. Adding the pendant was another layer that made a huge difference. And then adding the eye water took me into the, beyond, is so far beyond that realm that it truly is the example of what we call the layered approach. And as Steve mentioned, I tend to collect a lot of opportunities to experience the healing power of our smart strips and the ERT. Many of you know I have a horse, and that gives me a lot of opportunities to get banged around a little bit. But even on my own 2 feet, I can have experiences where the smart strips have become, in my right-hand pocket usually all the time. So thank you for letting me share.
Well, Kezia, we have seen some of those little accidents that you've had. You've posted those on Facebook. And I believe you're doing that just to show us the before and after. I have a feeling.
Maybe unconsciously, sure, why not?
Why not? I appreciate you for being on today and being on via the phone, and it worked perfect to be able to do this. Thank you so much. Sue Johnson, I think I can come to you. I figured this out, I think.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yeah, we got you. I don't know how we did it,
Okay,
but we
great.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for having me on, John. It was really difficult to decide which product to really concentrate on to share with, because I literally use the 20 plus products that GIA has in its range of products. Now, you talk about coming from your home office, and you know that my home office is on wheels. I love how you refer to that. And, you know, I do a lot of traveling on the road. And the last thing I want to do is keep pulling into rest stops all the time. We've had a lot of eye water testimonials, and that is literally all I will drink while I'm driving because of its absorption rate. We've heard about the ERT technology through our smart strips and our Don't Leave Home Without Them smart cards. My recent trip down here, I've just recovered from some surgery, and I'm still going through that, and a lot of aches and pains in my body, etc. And I found getting out of the vehicle a little bit more challenging than I have in the past. And it wasn't until about my second last stop after 16 hours on the road that I went, take out the smart strips from my purse, and I just slipped them in my pocket, one on each side. Next stop, time to swing my legs out, jump out the van, and I found that I was moving so much better. Taking my steps, it didn't take a little bit of time to get the joints working again. And, well, the only thing I did different was I put these in my pocket, so that makes a huge, huge difference. I could really go on because my office has the car harmonizer hanging in it. I have some home harmonizers in it. I travel and use those in the hotel. And I like to refer to my home office on wheels as the most harmonious vehicle on the planet at this point, I'm sure. You know, and of course, I don't leave home without my nutritionals. Tracy brought up the Edge earlier. That is a staple, especially when you do the type of traveling that I do. Definitely.
Well, Sue, could you briefly talk about I Thrive and Cleanse? I know that you are passionate about that. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, most definitely, John. Again, it's my guaranteed vitamins, I like to call it, my vitamin juice, how I refer to it, or I sometimes call it the natural Red Bull. I know that my cells are getting cleansed because, of course, mixing it with the eye water, and I know that our liquid products all have the single file alignment in it. So I know that my cells are getting cleansed on a daily basis. I know my nutrients are getting in on a daily basis. And it really does give me a lot of energy. It keeps the stressors at bay as well. Me more energy, guys. But yes, I noticed by lunchtime, if I've forgotten to, you know, put it together in the morning, it's done. I have to grab it because I know that my energy levels are down and I'm really dragging, and I'm like, why? It's because I've not taken my I Thrive and Cleanse in the morning. It is something that I always have. In fact, out in the van right now, I have 3 bottles of each. I will not run out.
Well, Sue, I'm glad we figured out how to turn on your microphone so that we could hear from you today. I really appreciate you for joining us and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Well, we have come to the end of our call. We probably could go on for a few more hours, I'm sure, and tell more stories, but I really appreciate you for sharing your personal stories. And I want to thank Rochelle. I know, Rochelle, you're right there in the middle of my screen, for giving me the idea to do this today, and I appreciate you so much this week for our conversation about this. And hopefully all of you who are tuning in enjoyed sharing your stories. And now what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and make a video of this really incredible video Zoom meeting. And it's been such a blast to hear from you, and not only hear from you, but see you. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop the recording. If you guys would hang out with me just a little bit longer, I would really appreciate it. Thanks.